Bar Association. We were founded in 1875 to bring attorneys together socially and in a shared respect for the law and the legal profession. Over the years, we have honored the dignity of those the law serves, and we continue that tradition tonight through the recognition of our award winners. As you know, the law is much more than words on a page. That may be where it starts, yes, but it takes shape in the people that it touches, the men and women under its umbrella of protection. A century and a half ago, around the time of our group's founding, that umbrella was shredded. We were locked in a mighty struggle to repair the Union. The Civil War was over. The North, the Union, won, but victory was not yet assured. The forces of division and segregation tried to win back through intimidation that which they had lost on the battlefield. And in response, Congress passed and President Grant signed the Ku Klux Klan Act into law. That was in 1871. 1 year earlier, the 15th Amendment to the Constitution had been enacted, ensuring African Americans the right to vote. And yet those words on the page were not enough, not nearly enough. We needed more than a constitutional amendment. Imagine that. We needed more than a constitutional amendment to protect the men and women brutalized by nightly raids and daily lynchings. And all they wanted to do was to live free lives, free of fear, to have the right to vote, and to secure their self-evident rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But the allure of a segregationist past was strong. So if the words were not enough, we had to do more. We had to do more than write the law. We had to respect it. When their rights were not respected in the streets, they were ultimately respected and enforced in the courts. President Andrew Jackson has gotten attention lately for his words following a Supreme Court case that went against his interests. He said, "John Marshall has made his decision. Now let him enforce it." The point Jackson made, the danger he foretold, is that laws could be passed but ignored, written but not respected. And after all, up to that time, humanity had lived through hundreds of millennia of power over the people, not of the people. Might makes right was history's default setting. But our founders taught us that we could be a nation of laws, not of men, of constitutions, not of cults, that right could make might. It was a miracle, really. A group of men had the foresight to create a document for all times. The Constitution would defend the self-evident rights professed by the Declaration of Independence. And the genius of the Constitution is that it could be amended as society progressed. And those amendments have all been driven by a desire to ensure that the government guarantees basic rights of all people. This was a new thing. A lot of Americans were against it. It looks good on paper, they said, but it will never work in the real world. But our founders were realists. They knew the dangers of autocracy. They lived under kings, kings who decided whether to grant rights to the people. They all recognized that for a government to truly endure, it must exist because of the consent of the governed, and it must guarantee their rights. This was a revolutionary principle. Back then, respecting the rule of law was risky. John Adams knew it, but he still defended 9 British soldiers accused of murder, even when public sentiment demanded a conviction. This event, the Boston Massacre, was a national outrage, and sentiment was not in favor of the soldiers. But Adams had the last words when his clients were acquitted. "Facts are stubborn things," he said, "and the dictates of our passions cannot alter the state of facts and evidence." The rule of law prevailed, and it persevered through the documents founding our nation. The passions of the moment, the winds of public opinion, may change our leaders every 2 to 4 years, but they do not alter our core principles. The passions of the moment do not alter the power balances created within the Constitution, and the political winds of the days cannot be permitted to shake the nation from its very foundation, that of the respect of the rule of law. That is why we, as lawyers, have to be immune from changing passions and attuned to unchanging truths, to respect the law. As officers of the court, of the judicial branch, that is our job. That is our solemn pledge and our oath. When sworn in as officers of the court, we all pledged that I do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity, as well as to the court as to the client, that I will use no falsehood, nor delay the cause of any person for lucre or malice. The founders did not intend the courts and lawyers to be engines of the Republic. Instead, we were intended to be the ultimate guardians of individual rights. That is why our profession plays a key constitutional function. We are the guardians of the respect for the rule of law and the continuation of our nation's foundational practices. And so, for the next 150 years, the members of the Erie County Bar Association will continue their work, not only to respect the law, but to protect the men and women that the law was written for. Thank you. Now on to the show. Dr. Greg Jackson is a PhD in history and a professor at the Utah Valley University. He is a celebrated author and commentator in various History Channel documentaries. But what brings him here tonight is his exciting podcast, History That Doesn't Suck. Now earlier, when we had student presentations, there were over 450 students here earlier, and Dr. Jackson gave this presentation, and we heard one of the students say, I think we're here for something that says law doesn't suck. Like, close, they're on the right page. But that was an event that was made possible because of the generosity of all of our sponsors, and we do appreciate that. But tonight we're in for a treat. Dr. Jackson is going to be presenting his live show, providing us with 100 years of U.S. history in 100 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to prepare yourselves for the most exciting history presentation you have ever seen. And with that said, it is my honor to introduce History That Doesn't Suck.